The SADC Troika ministerial meeting is underway with the unstable political situation in eSwatini and the insurgency in Mozambique's Cabo Delgado province top of the agenda. eNCA's Govan Whittles is there and joins us now for an update. So, Govan, this is a ministerial meeting that was meant to precede what was going to be a broader summit of the SADC Troika, but firmly in focus at this ministerial meeting is the situation in Mozambique.
It is indeed, Tulasizo, and with good reason, because the mandate of the troops that are currently in Cabo Delgado and other areas in Mozambique expires on the 15th of April. So this meeting is necessary to formulate recommendations for the SADC Summit 15th of April to decide on whether or not it will continue the deployment of troops in the Cabo Delgado region. If so, whether they'll increase the number of troops, and if that happens, where the money will come from and which countries will be contributing which personnel and which military equipment. So that makes it very important. And at this meeting, we have South Africa, Namibia and Botswana, the SADC Troika, and then all the countries that are providing troops in Mozambique, bar Rwanda, because Rwanda's deployment there is not under SADC protocols, and its mission is separate from the SADC mission, but there is close cooperation. And then the defense minister from the Mozambicans is here to discuss with South Africa whether they want the SADC mission extended in the country, and if so, which parameters would such an extension follow. So that's why it's important, but it hasn't been without its issues as well. We know that there's been some tension on the ground in coordinating the fight against the terrorists, particularly between the SADC mission and the Rwandan mission. But the Minister of Foreign Affairs of International Relations and Cooperation here in South Africa, Dr. Naledi Pandor, saying that there are two big obstacles which they faced since they've been deployed here, and she's outlined them in an interview we did with her earlier. Let's take a look at what she had to say.
The biggest obstacles are, as always, cost. To deploy forces is very expensive in any country because you have to meet a number of areas of cost. But second, it's also preparedness for confronting fairly sophisticated, well-armed, and it's seemingly well-funded terrorist groups, and being able to match them toe-to-toe in combat. I think our forces have done well because this was something we hadn't necessarily had as part of the plans of our various defense forces. But I think those two really are the key challenges. And then, of course, once you do achieve progress, you must make sure that you maintain it and that you don't have new areas of negative operations coming into being, because it is quite a difficult exercise to undertake. We also, I think, as South Africa, have to pay attention to supporting our defense sector much more than we might have done up to now, because I believe South Africa occupies an important position in the region and should be able to play an important strategic role.
I suppose then, Govan, part of what will inform the final position they take as ministers of the Troika plus Mozambique on whether or not the mandate should be extended beyond the 15th of April. A good measure of that depends on how well they've been doing in containing the insurgency in northern Mozambique, as well as, you know, their reading of how ready they are to move to what they are calling Scenario 5, which entails resolving other issues beyond just the immediate combat roles of pushing back against the insurgents. So are we getting any picture from that meeting of how well they've been doing and how much progress they've made?
Well, there certainly are indications that they've managed to break through on a number of fronts, and those include the fact that some of the gas companies which were operating in that Palma area have indicated their willingness to return to the area. The Minister of International Relations also saying that they've managed to capture key territories which had been under the control of the terrorists, and their job now is to protect those territories. They also say that in the north in the Inhambane region, the people have started to come back to the communities, that being a good sign that they believe shows that they are winning the war against these terrorists. But on the other end of the spectrum, where they say that the radicalization of local youth in the area is increasing. They've described the terrorist group in the area as a shadow organization. They say they're not able to definitively name it yet, and it's not clear who's backing them, although a number of passports of foreign countries have been found on the terrorists in that area. So they certainly have presented a view that the necessity of extending the mission appears obvious, only because they say that the territories which have been taken back from the terrorists need to be defended. But they do believe that they are making significant inroads in other areas in terms of dismantling the network of fighters that they're going up against, but also preventing them from capturing other key territories. Let's listen now to the Deputy Director General of the Department of International Relations and Cooperation on what kind of threat the violence in that area poses as it relates to South Africa and the broader SADC region.
All of us who are there, all of us, all the troop contributing countries, were very, very clear of the one thing: we don't want them in our areas. And Mozambique is our next door neighbor, so it's just as good as having them at our backyard. So that's why we have to do whatever it takes to get them out, because we don't want them to cross the border and be coming over.
Right, Govan, and very quickly, any indication that eSwatini could come up from this meeting?
It does look like they'll have some discussions on that political situation, but by all intents and purposes, it seems that this meeting, what's happening here today, will formalize some of those recommendations for the extension, and it looks like there'll be a lot of discussions with the Mozambican delegation to get the reassurances that they want the SADC mission there, and also to get better working relationship going with the Rwandans, although South Africa says that the SADC relationship with the Rwandan mission there is very good, that they do cooperate, and that they're hopeful that Mozambique will agree to the recommendations to extend the mission and get some clarity around whether they want more troops from the SADC mission in their country or more military equipment, and where that should come from.
All right. eNCA's Govan Whittles is watching the ministerial meeting of SADC Troika ministers, the organ on defense, politics and security, plus Mozambique also in attendance there.